The 1980s saw a bizarre moral panic sweep across the United States, fueled by fears of a widespread satanic cult conspiracy. The Satanic Panic was a period of intense public concern regarding alleged satanic ritual abuse of children. Despite little to no credible evidence, hundreds of individuals were accused and some were even convicted based on far-fetched accusations and coerced testimonies from young children. This irrational fear captivated the nation and revealed society's vulnerability to rumors and hysteria. The Satanic Panic can be traced back to the publication of the 1980 book, Michelle Remembers, which made lurid claims of satanic childhood abuse. This kick-started a growing cultural preoccupation with the idea that a network of organized satanic cults was brainwashing and torturing children on a massive scale. Things escalated when the McMartin preschool trial in 1983 saw staff members face outrageous accusations of satanic ritual abuse. While the allegations proved to be wholly unfounded, the lengthy and highly publicized case fueled national paranoia. Numerous cases followed where overzealous prosecutors filed charges based on flimsy evidence and suggestive interrogations of children. The panic hit a fever pitch in the late 1980s, stoked by lurid talk show segments and irresponsible reporting from credible media outlets who amplified the hysteria. There were several key factors that contributed to the spread of the Satanic Panic in the 1980s. Lack of skepticism and critical thinking meant many people readily accepted the salacious and outlandish claims of satanic ritual abuse without demanding strong evidence, displaying a willingness to believe the worst based on little more than rumor and innuendo. Irresponsible media coverage, with sensationalist talk shows like Geraldo Rivera's widely publicizing the claims and lending them an air of credibility, while even some reputable news outlets provided uncritical coverage that amplified the hysteria. The counterculture movement had left some distrustful of establishment figures like doctors, psychologists, and clergy, making bizarre conspiracy theories more plausible. Religious groups and organizations concerned with child abuse saw satanic cults as a new target to rally against through awareness campaigns, acting as moral crusaders. Interviewers often used leading questions and repeatedly questioned children until they described implausible satanic abuse scenarios through suggestive interrogation techniques. The time period saw fear about cults like the Manson family, making underground satanic groups seem conceivable and contributing to paranoia about underground groups. Psychologists were exploring techniques to uncover repressed traumatic memories, which arguably prompted false memories as part of the recovered memory movement. Self-proclaimed specialists and authors with no credible expertise fueled the hysteria through television appearances, over-reliance on dubious experts. The Satanic Panic tapped into very primal fears about the safety of children combined with distrust in authorities, creating a perfect storm, allowing baseless allegations to spread like wildfire across the nation. There were several high-profile and notorious cases of alleged satanic ritual abuse that helped fuel the moral panic in the 1980s. One of the first and most famous was the McMartin preschool case from 1983 to 1990, where members of the McMartin preschool staff in Manhattan Beach, California, were accused of ritually abusing children through underground tunnels. Despite a 7-year, $15 million case, no convictions were obtained due to lack of evidence. In 1988, dozens of families in Oak Hill, Texas, accused 2 daycare workers of sacrificing animals and abusing children in satanic rituals in the Oak Hill Satanic Ritual case, which ended in acquittal after authorities found no credible evidence. The 1994 West Memphis 3 case in Arkansas saw 3 teenage boys convicted for the horrific murders of 3 children, where baseless allegations of satanic cult activity prejudiced the trial. From 1983 to 1986, the Kern County child abuse case in Bakersfield, California involved a series of trials where over a dozen people were convicted of charges related to alleged satanic abuse, with key evidence extracted through coercive interviewing of children. In the 1988-1991 Wee Crippen Daycare sexual abuse trial in North Carolina, the owner of a daycare was falsely accused by children of satanic cult sexual abuse after unethical interviews, though charges were ultimately dropped. These are just some of the most notorious cases where a toxic mix of paranoia, coercive, suggestive questioning of kids, overzealous prosecutors, and junk science created a perfect storm resulting in wrongful convictions and shattered lives. Law enforcement's response to allegations of satanic ritual abuse during the moral panic of the 1980s was deeply problematic and played a major role in enabling the hysteria. Rather than exercising critical thinking and demanding credible evidence, many police investigators and prosecutors readily accepted the most bizarre and outlandish claims at face value. In high-profile cases like the McMartin preschool trial, overzealous prosecutors brought charges based on coerced testimonies from young children following suggestive interrogations by child abuse experts. Leading questions and repeated questioning implanted fantasies and false memories into the minds of impressionable kids. Despite contradictory evidence and lack of physical proof, law enforcement pursued prosecutions fueled more by paranoia than facts. Some police departments even formed special cults and ritualistic crime units that indoctrinated officers into believing in the reality of widespread satanic conspiracies. Rather than maintaining objectivity, these units actively searched for signs of cult activity, interpreting ordinary objects like cat hair or soil samples as evidence of ritualistic abuse. Beyond aggressive prosecutions, there were also instances of law enforcement authorities conducting ill-advised and unethical investigative tactics. Children were coerced into giving testimonies through lengthy interrogation sessions without parents or advocates present. Some were even legally detained against their will as witnesses. The attitude of many justice officials at the time seemed to be, where there's smoke, there's fire. They let their preconceived biases and belief in these outlandish satanic theories warp their judgment and due process. Rather than a check on hysteria, law enforcement too often discarded critical thinking and became enablers of the panic. Despite the complete lack of evidence for such satanic cult conspiracies, the panic led to scores of wrongful allegations, prosecutions, and even convictions that ruined many innocent lives. The Satanic Panic revealed how quickly paranoia and superstition could take hold, and how mass delusion and institutional failures allowed a modern-day witch hunt to unfold. It remains a stain on America's history and a cautionary tale about the dangerous consequences of moral panics. While claims of ritual satanic abuse have been wholly discredited, the Satanic Panic remains a troubling reminder of how easily fear can distort reality and derail justice.